Kia ora, good morning everyone, Richard Wong here. Welcome back to the channel. I have reviewed the PDMovie Live Air 2 wireless follow focus system back in 2020. Apart from a few minor complaints about the user interface, overall I think it was a very nice wireless follow focus system with solid build quality, easy to set up, and I really like how compact that system is. But guess what? PDMovie has recently released a new wireless follow focus system that is even smaller, and it also comes with some improvements as well. And before we start the review, just the usual disclaimer, PDMovie has sent me the sample for this review and I've been using it over the last few weeks. So I'm going to share with you my experience and talk about the pros and cons I found about this wireless follow focus system. The first thing I want to talk about is that this PDMovie Live Air 2S comes in a very nice carry case. While the original PDMovie Live Air 2 also comes with a case, which is not bad, but that was made of polystyrene material and it doesn't even have the space for you to fit the rod inside it. But this time, the case is made of a more durable fabric material, and despite there are more accessories included, everything fit very nicely inside the case. Inside the case, you will find a wireless controller and motor, rechargeable batteries for both the controller and the motor, a battery charger, USB cable, and there's also a large control wheel called remote air rig, which I will talk about more very soon. There's also a multi-function clamp for you to clamp the controller onto a rod or anywhere you want. There's also a rubber ring for you to use the follow focus system with non-cine lens. There is also a hot shoe clamp and a 15mm rod for you to attach the motor module if you don't already have a cage and rod for your camera. There are also a few other small things like a hex spanner, battery stickers, and of course the user manual. So yeah, as you can see, there are many accessories that come with this Live Air 2S. Even if you only have a camera with no cage and don't have a cine lens, you can still use this wireless follow focus system without having to buy anything extra. Now let's talk about the two main components of the PDMovie Live Air 2S, the motor and the controller. And let's start with the motor first. The Live Air 2S motor is the same one as the motor for the Live Air 2. It is very compact and the weight is just over 100 grams, so it is really lightweight as well. The motor is powered by a set of rechargeable, replaceable batteries. There are two sets of motor batteries that come with each Live Air 2S system. The battery goes into the bottom of the motor, like this. And if you want to replace it, remember you need to push it towards the side that has an arrow, and then you can pull it out quite easily. However, since the battery has a glossy coating, so if you find it a little bit too slippery to grab and pull it out, there is also a pack of battery stickers that come with the Live Air 2S, so you can stick one on the battery and it will make it a lot easier for you to remove the battery. There's only one button and one LED light on the motor. The button allows you to do various things such as calibrating the lens, reversing the direction, changing the control mode, etc. However, since there's only one button, so you have to rely on pressing the button multiple times with different patterns to access each feature. There's a little cheat sheet printed on the back of the motor to remind you the button combinations. But like I mentioned in my Live Air 2 review, I think relying on a single button to do everything is really not the best design. For example, right now, if you want to switch the motor's rotation direction, you need to press the button 7 times, which isn't very user intuitive. And another little complaint is there is no power button on the motor, so when you finish using it, you have to remove the battery, which is also not really that convenient. The Live Air 2S controller is a completely brand new one. While the controller for the original Live Air 2 was already very compact, But if you put the original controller and the new one side by side, you will see the new one is just a lot smaller than the original one. You really can't make a controller that is any smaller than this, and not surprisingly, this is the smallest wireless follow focus controller in the market. It is just basically a very tiny wheel with a screw at the back for you to attach it onto something. The weight of this controller is only 28 grams, so it is extremely lightweight, but it also feels very solid and very well made. The controller also uses a rechargeable battery, and it is a little cell button type one. To install the rechargeable battery, you need to screw the controller onto a rig or any 1/4 inch screw hole, like a tripod mount for example. Then you can pull out the outer shell and you will see the space inside for you to insert the battery. It is not the easiest thing to do, but luckily you only have to do it once. So make sure you insert the battery the right way, then put the outer shell back. To charge the controller's battery, you just need to connect the USB cable to the controller and a USB power source. For a brand new product released in 2021, I'm a bit disappointed that it still uses a micro USB connector instead of a USB-C connector. Just like the motor module, there's only one button on it, which is at the center of the unit. This is for you to power it on, power it off, and also trigger different features, which again rely on short or long press the button multiple times. To set up and use this Live Air 2S wireless follow focus system is very easy. First, make sure you install and charge the battery for both the controller and motor, like I mentioned in the last part of this video. Mount the motor module onto your lens, either using your own cage and rod, but you can also use the provided horseshoe clamp and rod if you don't already have a cage and rod for your camera. The standard gear on the motor is 0.8 mod, which should fit most of the cine lenses in the market, but there are also optional 0.4, 0.5 and 0.6 mod gear that you can buy if your lens doesn't use the standard 0.8 mod gear. Then you just need to mount the controller onto the cage, which is very easy. Just screw it onto the cage anywhere you want. Now, one thing I really like about the Live Air 2S is because the wheel on the controller is so tiny, which is great if you want to have a very compact setup. But the downside of a small wheel is that it is a little bit harder to do very precise and smooth control. So there is this big remote air rig that you can use if you prefer to have smooth control instead. What you need to do is just to insert the controller inside this space here. So just push it in as much as you can. You kind of feel there's something that click on it, and then now you can rotate it clockwise a few times. Then you will feel there's a hard stop. That means the controller is now attached onto the remote air rig successfully. If you don't feel the hard stop after turning it clockwise a few times, it's most likely just you have not fully pushed the controller in. So just try to push it in a little bit more and try it again. You don't have to use a lot of force, just the 2 fingers to push in should be enough, so no need to bring out your hammer. With the remote air rig, you can control the follow focus much smoother, and there's also the disc for you to mark the start and end point if you need to, but you can also program the AB point focus limit using the controller instead. So yeah, I really like it because the Live Air 2S system can be used without the remote air rig if you want to have a really compact setup, and especially if you are a one-man band controlling everything yourself, or you can set it up with the remote air rig and then give it to the focus puller when you are shooting with a team. Now with the motor and controller both attached, you turn on the controller by pressing the button at the center of the controller to turn on the controller. Then insert the battery into the motor. And yeah, like I mentioned before, the motor has no power switch, so the only way to power on and power off is by inserting and removing the battery. So the LED button on the controller and motor will start flashing as they try to connect, and within a few seconds you should see the LED light would stop flashing, which means it is now connected successfully to the motor. If your lens focus ring or the iris ring has a hard stop, you can just use the auto calibration feature to calibrate the endpoints. You just need to do a short press and then a long press on the controller, and the motor will now try to calibrate the endpoint automatically for you. But if you're using a lens that doesn't have a hard stop, or you just want to do manual calibration, it is also very easy. So just after you turn on both the controller and the motor, you just need to manually turn the focus ring or whatever ring that you want to control to one end, leave it there for at least half a second, then turn it back to the other end and leave it there for at least half a second, then just turn it back slightly, and that's it. Now you have manually calibrated your lens, so that is very easy as well. Once the calibration is done, the follow focus system works and feels pretty much the same as if you are using a normal follow focus system. There is a hard stop at each end, and the total travel of the wheel is about 300 degrees. The latency is very minimal. To be honest, I don't really feel any latency at all when using it. And when I use it with the remote air rig, the wheel just feels super smooth and very precise as well. By the way, the remote air rig has a very solid metal construction with a few rubber parts that give you that soft, nice feeling. There are also quite a few mounting holes on the remote air rig as well, so you could attach a monitor or another controller if you want to control multiple things at the same time. The only issue I have with the remote air rig is that if you are turning it counterclockwise direction and do it very quickly, you could end up unscrew the controller from the remote air rig accidentally. I have the same issue when using the controller just by itself without the remote air rig. If I mount the controller onto a cage and if I turn it counterclockwise very quickly, sometimes I will unscrew the controller from the cage as well. I do want to point out this is only an issue if you turn it very quickly in counterclockwise direction. I guess most of you would know usually when you are operating follow focus system, you would turn it quite slowly. So in real life, this is most likely not an issue. By default, the follow focus system operates in the focus mode, which means it would rotate the ring depends on how much you turn the wheel, exactly like a normal non-wireless follow focus system. That's great if you want to control the focus ring or the iris ring. However, if you want to control the zoom ring on a zoom lens, then you could change the Live Air 2S to operate in zoom mode. When you do that, the follow focus would behave more like an analog joystick when you're playing a video game. So if you move the controller's wheel to the center, the motor would stop moving. But if you turn it to either side, then the motor would then rotate, and the speed of rotation will be proportional to the angle of the wheel's rotation. So the more you turn the wheel, the faster the motor would turn. According to PDMovie, the operating range of the Live Air 2S is up to 100 meters, and I assume that means with direct line of sight. I haven't done an outdoor range test this time, but I did try put the camera in this room and I went to the opposite end of my house upstairs, so about 15-20 meters, and with ceiling and walls in between, and I can still control the follow focus system perfectly fine. PDMovie has also created an app called Remote Air. Using the app, you can connect and control up to 6 motors at the same time, so you can control focus, aperture, zoom, and if you have bought the slider and pen head module, you can control the movement of the camera at the same time. Unfortunately, the app is currently only available for iOS and I use Android phone, so I can't really try out this app. So hopefully they will release an Android version soon so I can try it out as well. I remember last year when I first heard of and saw some video of this PDMovie Live Air 2S wireless follow focus system, I had quite mixed feeling about it. On one hand, I was surprised and amazed by how small the controller is. But on the other hand, I was wondering if this ridiculously small controller mean there would be some compromises in terms of performance or the actual usage of this new follow focus system. Surprisingly, after using this follow focus system for a while, I didn't really find any real compromises. The build quality of this new controller is still good and solid. Latency is good. Even battery life seems to be very good, and that surprised me quite a bit because the battery for the controller is quite small. And while the small wheel on the new controller does make precise control a little bit harder, I really like the remote air rig, so you can make the system feel and handle like a normal size follow focus system if you want. Setting it up and calibration is also very easy, just like the Live Air 2. It's quite hard to not like this PDMovie Live Air 2S. However, there are still a few things that I don't like. First thing is, the controller and the motor both still only have one button on it, so to access different features, it relies on pressing the button multiple times in different ways. I was hoping with this new Live Air 2S, PDMovie would update the motor and add an additional button or screen or something to make the control easier. But no, unfortunately, this is completely unchanged. So still only one button. But since the motor is the exact same one, if you already have the PDMovie Live Air 2 and interested in upgrading to the new Live Air 2S, you can just buy the new controller and the remote air rig and just pair it with your original Live Air 2 motor, and that would work. So I just love it. A lot of companies these days, when they release a new product or system, if you want to upgrade, you have to rebuy everything. So I do really appreciate PDMovie give the user this more affordable upgrade path. What do you guys think about this PDMovie Live Air 2S? Do you use a wireless follow focus system, or will you be interested in getting one? Let me know what you think, and I will chat with you guys in the comment section below.